Hey guys, so concentration, focus. How important are these things? Of course, as I tend to say a lot of you guys are coders, programmers, but it doesn't matter whatever your job is. I want to talk about this subject in a little bit of a broad manner, so hopefully you guys can share your thoughts on it as well. So what brought this subject to mind is that, typically if you look at a lot of job descriptions of today, and of course it varies, depending on the job and the nature of it. But if you look at a lot of job descriptions, they'll focus on how much, or they emphasize how much they really like someone who's able to multitask, who's able to jump between several things, because they're going to be doing lots of things. So it's good to be able to put a little time towards each one. Jumping back to programming, for me, it's one of those things that I've always been able to naturally zone into when I'm, actually writing code or studying. It's one of those things that I think the nature of programming itself is just, it really requires a good bit of focus. I remember back in college, I used to find many distractions, between the millions of tabs I used to have open to YouTube videos and checking out suggestions and everything, or checking my phone, getting text messages, checking Facebook, all those sorts of things. They were really distracting. So, a lot of times I found that later on in the night when, things tend to get a little bit more quiet around the dorm area, and the bands were going in, they were done with practice. When things got a little bit more quiet, and I was able to separate myself from my phone and those other distractions, I was really able to hone in and focus. So, and that made a big difference for me. So I think that, for example, programming, it's one of those areas of technology that really, I think a lot of us are able to just naturally focus in on. But, as I said, going beyond that, how important is it? Is it really a great thing to be able to multitask? For me, and I won't mention what I do, I won't mention specifically where I work, but I'm in the IT industry, and I guess I can mention a little bit of what I do. I manage a couple client servers, and we remote host their client applications and things on our side. And there's within one day, especially when things get a little bit busy, you can be getting instant messages from several people. You can be getting several emails, and then you can be seeing more issues arise. So it's one of those things where you really have to prioritize, and you really have to say, all right, this is a little bit more important. But you also have to keep this other issue in mind that another client wants you to deal with. So being able to jump between tasks is really good, especially when it comes to providing updates to those clients, and not only them, but your boss and your managers and people around you on your team. But it's really important to be able to do that. But I've also found that sometimes things can get a little bit more chaotic when I have several people at once asking me questions, or several people at once asking me for the update on certain thing, and more just emails is coming in and all that sort of thing. So at least when I first started the job where I'm at now a while back, it was one of those things that I really had to learn pretty quick. That of course everyone's issue is important, of course everyone's task is important, but some things are a little bit more important than others. Some things require a little bit more priority. Some things seriously do require a little bit more focus. And I found that when you try to separate your focus into so many different tasks at once, you sort of in a way you can sort of decrease your efficiency at solving them. And a lot of times you can, at least for me, I found that it seems to elongate the process of solving issues when you're breaking your attention so rapidly among, different tasks. So, versus actually focusing in on, maybe one or two tasks, maybe three, and, putting more time on those things, you can probably find an issue, or you can probably solve a problem much quicker when you're able to do that versus, jumping between, 7, 6, or, 10 plus, tasks at once. So, with multitasking, it's one of those touchy subjects. Of course, like I said, if you're the one who's writing those job descriptions, you realize the importance of it. And, people out there who are looking for jobs, they realize the importance of it. But also at the same time, it's good to be able to focus in on something. Another reason why I want to talk about this subject, recently I purchased this book called, and I'm looking at the title over there, just trying to remember it. Real Happiness, I think it's the Power of Meditation or something along those lines. I'll show you a picture of it. But, I picked up that book because, I think that a lot of us are able to meditate. A lot of us are meditating in different forms throughout our days, throughout our weeks. But sometimes we may not necessarily think about it as meditation. For example, you may be doing a task on your job, or you may be programming or something, as a hobby or whatever you're doing it for. And, you may come across a certain problem, and then you may just focus in on that problem, sort of like the world around you just get a little quiet and you're focused in. For example, when it comes to working out algorithms, you're focused in on how can you solve it, how can you implement it in your code, or, as I said, with anything. And, to me, that deep focus is sort of meditation, because you sort of zone out all those other thoughts and distractions so you can focus in on the issue. So I think that a lot of us are meditating in our own ways. We just might not, we may not admit it or see it as meditation, or we may not even think about it that way. But to me, it seems that there are many forms of it. But I picked up that book so that I can learn a little bit more deeper about meditation from those who practice it more often. There are many different styles of meditation. There's, at least for this book, emphasizes, if I'm not mistaken, Zen meditation. That's, a form. As I said, I'm still sort of not too far into the book. I'm still not that far into learning about it. But I got an interest in learning about it because I wanted to see what sort of effect that could have on my life, what sort of effect that can have on, how easy I am able to get up in the morning, how positive my day seems to be, how much I can train my brain to focus in and, on a certain thing. And if my thought wanders, to regain that focus back seamlessly. So I think that's a good thing for a lot of us to try. For example, at least during the first, the first week of this book, it says to do small sessions of 20 minutes of meditation. But I've been attempting to do that every day to sort of practice it and sort of, like I said, train myself and practice a little bit more and get better at it. But, like I said, I think it's something that we all should try, because it's seeming like it can make a big difference in our lives. And, perhaps that bit of training can also reflect on our jobs. It can reflect on what we're doing, our hobbies or whatever we're working on. It can really make a difference in that area as well. So, being able to shift your focus from those distractions and back onto, what you're attempting to focus on, I think is a really great skill to be able to do. And, like as I said, that can help you out on your job. That can help you out with, perhaps multitasking if you need to shift your thought from one thing to another, and then, completely remove that thought of the other thing out of your mind. Maybe that's not multitasking, but, I think being able to control our minds and control our focus is a really great thing to be able to do. Anyways, guys, that's really all I want to talk about in this video. As always, if you're enjoying these sorts of videos, then let me know. Comment your thoughts, your opinions, or, let me know if you like this sort of content or not. As always, if you look at the description of this channel, you'll see that the original purpose of this channel was more so towards advice and talks and those sorts of things, but you guys are enjoying the list, so I figured I'd continue doing those. But anyways, I have another channel, as I've mentioned before, A Tidbit of Life, so you can check that out if you want. If you don't, then still good. Anyways, guys, I'll see you next time.